The following 3 tips, simple but effective, are the fruits of thousands of hours of working with SolidWorks Assembly mode, and they will improve your productivity a lot. And I'm about to share them with you in this video, so stay tuned. Hi, welcome, I'm Aryan. If you're new here, I help engineers and creative minds to convert their ideas and bring them into real-life solutions through learning SolidWorks with a very new and easy approach. So if this is something for you, hit the subscribe button right now. In this video, I have picked 3 of the tips that I believe, despite your skill level in SolidWorks, can be applied from today. So let's grab your coffee and let's begin. Okay, the first tip that I want to share with you is pack and go. You probably have heard of this one, but never have come across it. Or if you haven't heard of it, it's a feature within SolidWorks Assembly that allows you to export your model with all its features, parts, drawings, and if you have even rendered simulation. So the test results, you can attach all of it and export it all together. Why should you do that? Because like most of my students, when they start as a beginner, they don't realize that SolidWorks Assembly is nothing but bunch of relations between the components that you have already modeled in the part mode. So SolidWorks Assembly does not contain those actual parts. When we're looking at this turbine, we are not having all these components in the assembly mode. The components are being called away from different locations on your computer, and they are just mated together. So SolidWorks Assembly is keeping tab on the mates you have applied on those components, not on the components itself. So when you want to send your assembly file to someone to check or to show your work, you have to make sure that all the components that you have used in that assembly are being sent with it. And since sometimes you're taking different components from different folders, you forget that. Pack and go is the best feature for that, and I'm going to show you how it works. You could search for it here on the search bar in the commands. This is the easier way, or you could go to file and find it here, pack and go. So this is the interface. Clarification before we start, I have downloaded this model from GrabCAD. This is not my doing. A long time ago, I tried to look for it again to give the credit to its modeler, and I could not find it, unfortunately. So if you are the modeler, you could reach out to me and I would put your link down in the description of this video. Now we go to pack and go. This is the interface. We can see our components are listed here. We have 1 assembly, we have 6 components, none of which have any assigned drawings, none of which have any assigned simulation results. If they did, I could have included them here by checking these boxes. As you can see, include toolbox components if my assembly had any toolbox in it, like bolts and nuts and any type of fasteners. So you could just change the folder that you want to save all these components and assembly files to, find that, save them all there, and then wait a few seconds depending on how fast your computer is. All right, we just came to the right folder. This is the folder. As you can see, we have 1 assembly part and 6 component parts, and we can just zip this component like here, add it to RAR, and then all I have to do is to send this zipped component to whomever I want to take a look at my assembly. I do not just send my assembly file alone. That was tip number 1. So tip number 2, in case you didn't know, you could also create a new component within the assembly mode in SolidWorks. It comes in handy when you have already assembled your component, everything is in the right place, and you feel like, oh, there should be a new component there, but I haven't designed it. You could obviously measure the distances, come up with some dimensions, go to the part mode or design it, or you could just do it here. For example, if I wanted to add, I have no idea what I would be needing here. This is a turbine engine that I did not design, but well, let's just say we need to have a hole on this disc, and then we need to insert a pin, and that pin is not designed. So first, let me just edit the component, draw something quickly on it, and then we go to features, extrude cut. Okay, it's done. Now we have the hole. I just edited that component. That doesn't count as my tip. I just prepared it. Now I need 1 pin for this hole, and all I have to do is to go to the assembly tab here. Underneath the insert component, I pick new part. When I pick that, of course, it depends on the standard. It gives me some messages. I don't need to pay attention to that. Press enter one time. And let's just simplify everything. This is the newly created part. It gets added to your design tree, and it usually gets the name part, and it's fixed. As you can see, it has the symbol F next to it, which means it's not floating, it's fixed. Right click on that and float it first. We don't want anything to be fixed because that component is empty. How do we edit one component? One left click on that on the design tree and pick edit part. Sure, the part that you're editing is not mated or fixed in a space, is fine. Now, we need to pick a plane to start drawing our component on. The plane that I want to pick is this disk itself, like this. And then I activate the sketch. What do? In this case, I select this edge and convert it into an entity. Then I go to the features tab, extrude it. This way is fine. Click OK. And now we have a new component. Let's just rebuild it. Done. So this is our new component. As you can see, when I select part, it gets highlighted. Yes, it's floating. So let's mate it to that hole. I showed you how to quickly mate your component in the previous video as well, or the one before it. Yes, this is the pin. And I select these two and mate them together. Something weird is happening. All right, I hope it doesn't happen in your model. What's happening here is a very rare, unusual case for me, and I'm not going to spend time evaluating that. This is not going to happen for you because it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why it's happening. It's a pin and it's a flat surface. They should be coincident. Done. The point was how to create a new component. I walk you through those steps one more time. First thing first, you need to come here, click on new part, click yes. You do that and the component is added to your design tree as fixed. So right click on that, float it. It's not mandatory, it's my recommendation only. So once you floated that, one left click on that component, click on edit part. When you do that, your component becomes ready to edit, but since you don't have any component, it's empty, you need to pick a flat surface on your assembly or a plane. To start from scratch, like you're in a part mode, and use all the drawing tools you have, because your menu within the assembly mode turns into the part modes menu. You have all the typical sketching tools. You draw your sketch and you extrude it, you revolve it, and so on and so forth. So this is how you add a new component. But we are not finished. Let me delete the last empty part I added. Don't save it. We have added one new component and I'm just gonna leave it here. That's fine. And now I click save. The first time I click save, it got saved, but it's saved as a component internal in the assembly mode. This component does not have a unique individual file somewhere in your Windows Explorer. If you want to save it, SolidWorks asks you if you want to save this newly created part internally or externally. If you select externally, you can save it in a different window. Otherwise, if you have deactivated that option, you can open that component in the part mode, then save it, save as, then you could just save it as a newly created component, and you get the point. That was tip number 2. So tip number 3, rigid versus flexible subassembly. What is that? I am looking at a different assembly right now, and we have one advanced mate that allows these two components to vary between 0 and 30 degrees. Okay, so I'm gonna save this. Then I go back to my turbine assembly, which has nothing to do with this assembly, but I am going to insert the other assembly into this one. Okay, so how do we do that? Open, browse for assembly. Actually, it's here, and I just put it there. Let's assume I want this to be concentric, and to make him go fixed, this surface has to sit on this surface. Done. This is not our point. One thing I forgot is this concentric. Let's just quickly edit it. I want to lock the rotation. Lock rotation and done. Okay, so we knew that this sub-assembly that I have just inserted into the other assembly, as you can see, it's an assembly of its own, is dynamic. I could move its component, right? As you can see, it should be moving. But when I insert it to the other assembly, it does not move. So why is that, and how can you change it? First of all, why is that? The reason you cannot move it is because on default, SolidWorks inserts all your sub-assemblies, that is other assemblies, into your main assembly as rigid. It kind of locks all the mates, all the dynamic mates, like the distance limit, angle limit, path, and some of the others, into a paused situation, so your SolidWorks can run much smoother. Because if everything is at its dynamic mode, the calculations could go crazy, and if you don't have a strong enough PC, it could slow down your process a lot. So what if you want your sub-assemblies to be dynamic? How do you deal with that? In that case, you find that sub-assembly in question in the design tree, you right click on that, and you go to component properties. When you do, you will see that there is an option here called solve as, and it's currently on rigid on default. If you set it to flexible, then your other assembly, your sub-assembly, will become flexible. It means all its dynamic mates come back into motion, and you could move them within the main assembly. So if you're working with a big assembly with a lot of sub-assemblies and your SolidWorks is running slow, it's a good idea to set all those sub-assemblies, or at least the ones you don't necessarily need to be flexible, to rigid. So SolidWorks treats them as one big component, which is much easier to calculate and deal with. All right, guys, that was 3 cool tips about SolidWorks Assembly. This was a rather short video, but I think knowing these tips, even though small, could make a huge change in your experience. Let's go back to the experience. Now let's go back. Speaking of CSWP, if you are a serious learner and you are ready to learn it good all the way through, good enough not to come back to YouTube to ask for help, whether you want to be certified or you don't need the certification, go to the top right corner of the screen, click on that info card button, or you could just click on the link in the description below. This will take you to my website, where I explain in my 1-hour webinar all the details that you need to break the 10 bad habits that I know you have built or you will build if you continue learning, watching random videos, and I will tell you the solution to them. At the end of that webinar, I will also give you a mini course where you can assess yourself. And both of them are free of charge. So don't forget, click there, go watch it right now if you're serious about learning SolidWorks. I'll see you on the webinar. Otherwise, if you're new, just hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on YouTube soon.